Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challee.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I am excited that we have a follower-requested topic that we are going to be addressing today.
So, we're going to be going over some interview questions, how we can show up prepared for an interview and hopefully get the job or the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, we looked up some common interview questions and we're going to kind of talk through them and see how we can best show up to represent ourselves and then also be able to keep ourselves calm through that and show up well also.
Oh, background, I have been in the workforce a long time, and the majority of it was in a supervisory role. So I have conducted probably, I want to say, for the last at least 14 years. So, yeah, starting way back. So I have conducted interviews for numerous different jobs and different places, facilities. I worked in a nursing home, an adult home, a very large chain store that we're not going to mention. But I've done a lot of interviews. I have seen some phenomenal interviews and I have seen some just really bad. There is such a thing as a bad interview. So, yeah, let's talk about interviewing and how to prepare for it and how to answer those tricky interview questions that even I dread.
Yeah. I want to start with what makes a bad interview. Let's start with the negative side first, and then we'll go to the positive piece. But what makes that?
I actually want to back up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Resumes and applications, please, we see your email address. Get a professional email address. I can't tell. I was going through resumes for a medical position. Okay. And I looked through these resumes and these applications, and I'm sorry, but if your email address on your application is big booty hoe 69, we need a professional email address. So that is my first piece of advice. Get a professional email address, just a very straightforward.
Probably your name, something that can be easily identified to when you're getting an email coming back in too, would be helpful, I'm sure.
Yes, I don't want to have to go through and figure out which applicant is, big booty.
The
So,
code.
yes, very good point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I am lazy. I haven't made a new email address since I got married, but I have a very unique first name, right? So my email address has always been challeecole@gmail.com. Send me an email. But yeah, so that's just always been what my email address was.
Yeah.
Very professional, very straightforward. You know who it is. So
Mhm.
just be cognizant of that because, that is a big factor.
I think that gets overlooked a
Mhm.
lot. I mean, because I know for me, I use the same email address that I had used for years. Luckily for me, it was something a little bit more straightforward. If we're still using the same email that we had since we were 14, that might look a little bit different than professional.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yes.
good point.
Mm.
Making sure our resume and our application represents us and we're being honest
Mhm.
on it is also going to be a huge thing. Because if we're showing up and we put a whole bunch of stuff that was not accurate and we don't know what we're talking about
Oh my
because AI
gosh.
made it and we can't talk about it, it's probably not going to go super well.
Good point. Yes,
Yeah.
the age of AI. As far as the actual interview, right?
Mhm.
Important things. Show up early. Show up early. If you show up late for an interview, unless it's a blizzard outside and you're like, hey, I'm not canceling this interview, but I'm taking my time, get something like that. Otherwise, 10 to 15 minutes, I would say. 10 to 15 minutes is a good, early is a good window because if you get there late, I will assume you're going to get to work late. And yeah,
Also, for prep in general, you don't want to be running in and what if you don't know what it looks like getting in there? What if there is a check-in process? What if there are those other
yes.
things that you didn't account for and you're getting there just on time, and then you end up getting checked in late because you had to go through 5 different doors and up an elevator.
Very good point.
Yeah.
When I interviewed at the school, I went to the wrong, like, school. Like, I don't remember, but I, like, went to the elementary
Yeah,
school
look at that.
or I went to the high school and I was supposed to go to the elementary school. So, yeah, giving yourself that window to just know that you're where you're supposed to be is very important.
Parking.
Oh,
Who even knows what,
yeah.
like, parking looks like in that
Parking.
sense?
Yep.
Maybe you have to walk a mile because it's a busy day. Those type of things can really come up and impact the way if we're stressed about that and we're someone who likes to be on time and then we didn't give ourselves enough time and then we're stressed about it, we're bringing that into the interview.
For sure. Controversial, but
Mhm.
the way you dress?
This was on my mind.
Yes. Yeah. So dress nicely. It really depends on the job, you're interviewing for. If you're interviewing for some big, like, administrative position, you're gonna wanna dress up, right? Like, guys or a suit. Like, if it's one of those positions, but I think a good rule of thumb is, for the most part, dress for the interview how you dress for the job. That being said, if you're well, I was gonna say if you're interviewing for like a nursing position, I would not judge anybody for showing up in scrubs. Like,
Fair.
especially if you're coming from a job and you show up in scrubs, like if you're interviewing for that position,
Yeah.
that's yeah. So a good rule of thumb is dress for the job that dress for the job that you are interviewing for or one step up, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Like, so yeah, and just, look presentable. I mean, use kind of some common sense. Like, I did a lot of interviews in the nursing home. Please don't show up in ripped jeans,
Or
like,
sweatpants.
or sweatpants or pajama pants. Dress like you want to get this job.
That's kinda what I was thinking in that sense, like, dress like you want the position, show up and put some effort in. If that is also, when we look better, we feel better. So if we go into it and we took that time to care for ourselves before coming into it, we're probably gonna feel a little bit better going to the interview. We're gonna have less that's going around in our mind of, like, "Are they judging this? Are they judging that?" If we show up well and we know we're making a good impression.
Mhm. Yep. On that same controversial topic, tattoos.
Mhm,
Tattoos and piercings, I guess, but mostly I'm thinking tattoos. I love tattoos. I
mhm,
have so many. But if you have what could be considered an offensive tattoo, right? Like if I'm going to keep using the nursing home
yeah,
example, but if you're interviewing there, if you have a beautiful tattoo of a naked lady just on your arm, and it can be the most beautiful artwork ever,
mhm,
and me as a person will not judge you as a person. However, I would cover that because it's going to raise some eyebrows because there is such a thing as inappropriate tattoos and we do need to cover them. So again, if that's something that you're going to be covering at work, which probably will be because most places have a policy about inappropriate tattoos, just cover it in the interview. Honestly, don't even.
don't raise more red flags than what is necessary. And not saying this part is right, but it is subjective to the sense that whoever we're interviewing with, we don't know what their opinions or their values are. So being as neutral in that sense is possible. Being able to kind of present so then people are paying attention to what we're bringing to the table, not what we're looking like.
Honestly, that's actually a really good point
Yeah.
because, like, I love tattoos and I will be distracted. Not even in a
Yes.
bad way. Like, if you have just beautiful tattoos up and down
Mhm.
your arm, like, I will be distracted. That's
Yeah.
on me. But, like, be cognizant of dress codes and inappropriate tattoos are beautiful. But if it's inappropriate, if you have some type of like racial, political something, like,
Swear words.
yeah, if it's gonna go against the dress code, I would just cover it. It is what it is. I know it sucks. Tattoos are beautiful. You wanna show them off. That's why you got them. But they're not always okay.
Not always appreciated in that
I
sense.
yeah. So there's that.
That brings me to another controversial one, and this
Ooh,
comes
I
from,
love
like, me working in restaurants, is hair, dyed-haired, colored hair. A lot of times in restaurants, people want it to be neutral, and
Mhm.
it's okay to push back on this a little bit
Okay.
because I can appreciate colored hair.
Mhm.
With that being said, have it be nice. Have it be at a kinda showing up to that interview looking well, have it be your hair is done in a presentable and nice way. Let's not have it where it's fully grown out, and then that's something that's distracting that might make us look less professional.
Yeah.
So, working with whatever we have, if we really value having colored hair, which I think is so cool, it can be tough if someone may not value that same thing, and then if it's not nicely done or done recently. What's
Mhm.
your thought on that?
Yeah, and again, dress code, I mean,
Yeah.
I used to have, like, flaming pink hair. I loved it. But I did joke that I look like a drunk flamingo. So when I graduated school and started interviewing for more professional jobs, I did X-nay the hot pink. I had, like, the underside done. But I would make sure it was presentable if I was going to be interviewing. Like, I would,
Presentable,
tie
that's the
it
word.
back in a nice. But on that same topic, last well, I don't know if this is the last thing, but a big thing that I thought about when you mentioned hair is, like, make sure you are well groomed.
Yeah.
God, this sounds so mean. I don't wanna sound mean, but, like, make sure you're well groomed, take
Mhm.
a shower, put on put on deodorant. I
Mhm.
like, it sounds so, but I'm like, this is a competition, like, you're
Yeah.
competing, so, like, you want to just present yourself as the best version of yourself. Show up well groomed,
Yeah.
wash your hair so it's not greasy, or, like, my hair is, like, mega greasy today for some reason, like, do something with it.
Mhm.
Just, not even presentable, because that even sounds shitty, but just, be well groomed and know that you're competing.
I think in a sense that I kinda looked at it when you said that is, like, take away the distractions or potential judgments because you don't know who you're sitting in front of. And who you're sitting in front of for the interview might be different than who you're going to be working with on your day to day. They might be someone that's pretty far removed from what you're gonna be doing day to day, so they might be looking at different things where, if we're interviewing for a restaurant position, we're probably interviewing with a hiring manager who is not doing that day to day things and is going to, we might show up to work a little bit different than the way we're going to show up at that interview, but putting that little bit of extra time in, I think just gives us a leg up. It
Mhm.
shows that we care.
And listen, I'm not saying it's right that people judge us on our hair, on our tattoos, on our clothing. Like, is it right? No, but these are interview tips. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is what it is. All right, so interview
Right.
questions. These are the fun ones. So, the first one that can just kill the interview right away is, tell me about yourself. That's it. Tell me about yourself. So, when you hear that, what are they asking?
So I think they're asking what you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And that could also be an opportunity for you to share like some of your values, but being mindful that not to give too much that could be controversial. What's your thought? What are you looking for in that?
Well, tell me about yourself professionally.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they don't say that because there are certain questions you can't ask in an interview. Like, you can't ask if the person has kids. You can't ask how old the person is. You can make sure that they're above like 18 or whatever the working age, but you can't ask them if they have kids. You can't ask them if they how old they are. You can't ask them their religion.
Probably cultural values, that kind of thing.
Anything like that, relationship status, sexual orientation, like, you can't ask any of that, and so, sometimes the broad questions, like, don't give more than you need to.
So I tend to be someone who overshares, and I feel like I've probably gotten myself in a pickle with that of rather than professional, I've gone more to the personal side and given that was
Mhm,
unnecessary. Maybe could have hindered my chance of getting that job if they
mhm,
didn't agree with something.
right?
Mhm.
And we love talking about ourselves. I'm like, I love talking about my kids, so if you say, "Tell me about yourself," in a non-professional I'm gonna be like, "Well, I have 2 kids," like, you know what I mean? That's the first. So, tell me about yourself professionally. So, what are some examples of things that you can tell about yourself?
That you are dedicated, that you show up on time, that you value time management, that you oh, spot. I didn't think about this part. I
Mhm.
don't know what I would thinking about
Right?
this, like thinking about being in an interview question, like my brain goes to the personal piece.
Uh-huh. This is why you
Um, problem
practice.
solve. I like to think outside of the box. I work well in a team. Are those some good ones? What's your thoughts? Your face is not giving me that it's that those are good ones.
So, Those are fine, but you miss some important things,
Ooh.
like, "Hi, my name's Justin."
Right.
Like if you're sitting in an interview and like, maybe there's a few people there and only one of them has your resume. If they say, "Tell me about yourself," probably one of the first things you should say is, "My name is Justin." So, like, if I were gonna answer that question, I might say, like, "My name is Challee. I am a licensed social worker. I graduated with my associates in criminal justice in 2010, my bachelor's in sociology in 2013, and my master's in social work in" oh god, I can't remember what year I graduated, but whatever,
Yeah.
2022 or whatever. I'd go through my schooling
Ooh.
and say, like, "I am interviewing for the position of blah, blah, blah."
Would you include work history within that?
I would keep it very brief and let them ask the questions
Okay.
because I've done interviews where you're sitting like, you only have their attention for a limited amount of time. And I've had people just talk and talk and talk and talk, and I'm just
That's probably
like,
me.
I have a set of questions that I need to get through. So if there's something I need to know that you don't tell me, I'll ask,
Okay.
but don't
Good to
give
know.
too much. So I would really stick with like school and the position that I'm interviewing for. I would hold off on work history
Okay.
because it's usually a question.
And maybe if it's not school specifically, like those skills or what that training has been to get there to that position. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Um, okay. What are your strengths?
This might be where it's like, I work well as a team.
Yes.
It-
This is not a trick question. Like, this is where you brag about yourself.
Okay. So like that teamwork, the I show up to work on time or I really value time
Yes.
management, can problem solve. I work well under pressure. I keep calm in crisis.
And something that is just kind of a one off, but previous supervisors have told me that I am
Ooh,
excellent with my time management. So that way it's, like, yeah, it
can lean
sounds
back
more
into it. Okay.
any strength and look up the job that you're interviewing for,
That
like if
makes
you're
sense.
interviewing for a job where you have a lot of personal interaction with people, clients, customers, I have great people skills. I'm very good with, I don't know, crisis
Really
mitigation.
good. I thinking of like counting money if we're like doing cashier, like I'm good with math as a skill that I excel in.
Mhm.
So, ooh, tailoring it to what we're
Yeah.
interviewing for. And again, adding that piece on the end. And maybe we can do this for many of the questions of like professionally. What are your strengths professionally?
Yes. Yes.
Because you have a ton of strengths that exist professionally.
Yeah, so keep that in
Okay.
mind. This is my favorite question to ask people because it always gets them. What are your weaknesses?
So this is probably where most people fumble.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is the make or break question, I swear.
So I'm thinking about this now, different interviews, looking up interview skills, like, can it be an area of improvement is a way to phrase this?
That's
Okay,
perfect.
okay.
What are your weaknesses? Do not answer like attendance. Attendance is a weakness. Okay, like getting along with coworkers.
Yeah.
You have nowhere to go with that. So they will ask you this. I actually got stumped a little bit in an interview because I was ready for this because this is what I do. So like I was ready and they asked me for three and I was like, I even said to the guy, I'm like, three. So come up with things that show that you are aware and that
Huh?
you're improving. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a weakness because that is a very subjective term. So I say things like one of my weaknesses that I've been working on is I tend to take my work home with me a lot. Like I'm really working on that like work life balance because sometimes I just get very into my work and I take my work home with me and so I'm really trying to work on like not doing that so much or something like that because that's not a bad thing. Like nobody's going to be like, "Oh my god, you take your work home too much." Like, "Oh my god." So,
Also might be a way because as much as breaking out of this a little bit, as much as they are interviewing us, we're also interviewing them to see
mhm.
if this is an employment or an opportunity we want.
Yes. Yep.
If they are like, "Heck yeah, that's what I want to hear," okay, maybe I'm not gonna have the best work-life balance here.
Mhm.
So pay attention to the way that they're responding also.
Oh my god. Yes, excellent point. So that is why
What's another option for that, like, area? I don't wanna pass that.
no, 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 but I was just gonna say that's why listen, I'm hoping to never have to interview ever again. That's my goal.
Okay.
But that was my go-to.
Uh,
And it's not false. It's true,
mhm.
and I do consider it a weakness, but like I said, it's not like, yeah, I just cannot show up to work on time. Just can't do it. Okay, another one. Oh gosh,
Great,
that
I'm
was
coming up with 3, I'm like, "Oh goodness," like, maybe I had 1 ready to fire, but
another one that I actually came up with was I don't have a lot of experience in this position, but I've educated myself and I am a very quick learner. So, if there is someone to show me the ropes, I catch on very quickly.
love that.
But yeah, be prepared for that question because I can't tell you how many times I have asked somebody that question and they've just totally buried themselves. Yeah.
So making sure, A, it's something that's, like, that we want to work on, but not having it be like that dead end statement of, like, "I can't do this," or "I don't do this." That's
Yes.
choice.
Mhm.
Where, like, a weakness, I guess phrasing it as something that we can improve, something that we're working on improving, something that is changeable
Yeah.
rather than, like, a permanent. We might not be great at showing up to work on time. Let's not air that out the first thing, and maybe that's something we could work on independently.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, if that's the only thing you can think of is that you suck at getting to work on time, you could even phrase it like, "I'm working on time management. My time management hasn't been great, so I actually did an online educational thing to work on time management, and I have improved my time management skills exponentially since my previous job," or something.
I'm improving my computer skills, like, that's one because, like, I guess thinking about it, maybe things that are always changing or something that's
Mhm.
unique to that job, we're not gonna
So
be a
I
master
know
at.
the question is, what are your weaknesses? What is your weakness? But try and reframe it to like, what are you improving on?
Yeah. I
So,
think that's a good way to now hearing that, it can help make that switch because weaknesses, it's very subjective, it's negative, you know? And it can be really easy to just like blurt out anything that we're not great at.
where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is another trick question. They
Yeah.
want to know if you're going to be there for the long haul.
I think this one's tough. Oh, or like has been tough for me because I am someone that like goes into a job and my plan is to like be there for an extended period of time. So like mine has been I want to be able to see the agency or the company grow. I hope to be able to advance my skill in this particular area and take on more responsibility. I have also answered it with um, my plan is to continue to grow and build my skills in this general area, whatever that was. Share thoughts.
This is another one where it's kind of tricky because they want to hear that they are hiring you for the long haul. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're not interviewing for a job that you want to leave. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I mean, hopefully, I am growing within this company. I am bringing, skills to grow and to move forward. Yeah, just don't say something like, "I want to move to Florida." Like, if that's your 5-year plan, like, good for you, but that'll kill you in the interview.
Yeah.
Like, leave that part out.
Yep.
Mm-mm. Yep. Okay, let's see, because I had a couple other good ones. Okay, so what motivates you? That's another trick question.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
But like, how's that a trick question? Because that makes sense.
Okay, so what do you think from knowing me as a friend, like, what motivates me?
Your kids.
My kids!
Yeah.
My kids, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just opened the door.
Yeah.
Not that I care, I guess, like, but this is another shitty thing about interviews is some people do. That's why they can't ask if you have
Mhm.
children because then it's like, well, any working mom is like, it's hard. You got to find daycare. You have to find reliable daycare. If your kids get sick, you're calling into work. It is what it is. Nowadays, I feel like people are way more family oriented, so it's not like that big of a deal. So if I were in an interview, I would 100% feel comfortable saying, like, my kids are my motivation. They are what, motivated me to even interview for this job because this is a great job that's going to really help me and my family. Like in that case, it is what it is. But you have to decide off the bat if you want to disclose that you have kids. So what motivates you? If you don't want them to know you have kids, come up with something because otherwise, like if that were me and I didn't want somebody to know I had kids, I'd be like, the paycheck?
Right, and I think that's also the if we're fumbling on that, if we weren't prepared for that, at the end of the day, most of us are motivated by getting paid for the skill that we're doing, but if that's the first thing that comes out, that may not be great. So maybe it's I'm motivated to excel in something that I love.
Or suck up a little bit and say, I did some research on this company before this interview and your
Mission statement.
yes, thank you. But don't say it if you don't know what it
Right.
is. So, but say like your not mission statement, because I can't
Or
memorize
like your
things, but like
values.
your overall values and your overall mission and what you're contributing to the community or something. That is what motivates me because now you're complimenting them while answering their question while maintaining your privacy.
I think I did that in one of the interviews that I had been in. I was asked that question on the motivation, and my response was because I want to be part of the bigger picture of what you are bringing to the community and the way that we can serve the people that are in need. And
Yes.
like, I saw some smiles after that one.
Yes. Because you don't know how many interviews I've done where it's like, what motivates you? And they're like, this job pays way more than my current job, which is great.
True.
Totally awesome. But like, that is only going to get you so far. On that same note, another question is, what are your salary expectations?
I hate this question. And this is the question that even like when I had been like kind of prepared for it, I still fumbled because I just get uncomfortable around this. So I don't know how to answer this one.
Yeah, this one is awful. So, how I would answer this is there is so much more salary transparency now. It's still not perfect, but there's more,
Mm,
right? So, if I saw the job on like Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever and there was a salary range, I would say something like, "Okay, I saw that your salary range was between 50 and 65,000. And I think that with my education and my experience and my skill set, that I would be looking towards the higher end of that range."
I hate when they ask that on the application too. Like they'll put like desired salary, desired hourly rate.
Yeah.
Um,
I always write negotiable.
Ooh,
Mhm.
okay, so then we're not locking ourselves into something either. So like a situation that I had gotten into at one point was I had initially gone for an interview for one position that had paid less. They ended up like switching the interview and I was interviewed for a different position. And I was like, oh, in my head, I know there's a pay difference between those two positions. So I didn't want to put myself in the situation of, well, expecting this one and then
Yep.
being okay with being paid this one that was for the position that I was overqualified for. So yeah, I didn't love that. I guess like I went higher because why not in a sense, and then see where we can compromise and meet in the middle. I'm someone who has in the past like sold myself short.
Yes. Yup. And I mean, if you go way over, if the salary range is like 50 to 60 and you're like, yeah, I'm looking for 1,000, they're not even going to negotiate. They're
Right.
going to be like, yeah, sorry.
So like, being realistic, but also giving some pushback.
And if it doesn't say, like, the range or whatever, research. Don't go in there yeah, look up, salary ranges of similar positions in your area.
In your area
In your area,
is
yes.
the key to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Let's see. Another good one. Why are you leaving your current job?
My go-to is I'm looking for more opportunity for growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not because they suck and I don't get along with anybody.
Yeah. So it's you never know who knows who. Like you never know who knows people. And a lot of times if you're interviewing in a job, like we'll say at the nursing home, we all know each other. Just like with social workers. I mean, we know a lot of people in our community. So if I see that you worked at the place that I had, my colleague works there, and you come in and you're just like, that's the worst place and blah 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 and you just shit talk them, that's no, because if you're gonna shit talk them, you're gonna shit talk me,
Right.
and I don't need that, so that will be no. I have left horrible toxic jobs where I have wanted to just when they ask me that question, I wanna just lay it out, right? Because 'Cause I'm still mad. I'm, like, big mad, right? That's why and I just wanna be like, "Let me tell you why I'm leaving this job." But you don't, because you never know. So, yes, a perfect thing to say would be that you are looking for more opportunities to grow,
To develop skills.
develop skills. I'm just been in that position a long time and I'm just really looking for something different that I can excel at. I want to use my skills. I want to use like my entire skill set rather than just a few skills. What else? What else can you say?
Just we don't wanna make it seem like we're flighty and just, like, on a whim going to leave a position, but for professional development, I mean, just another word of saying that, but I think being able to this one, I have always been pretty confident in when I've been asked that one, because my go-to has been that I'm looking for more opportunity, I'm looking for more room for growth. I know that I have more to offer, and I think this position is going to be able to fit my skill set and my goals much better.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a perfect answer, and it's hard. If you're leaving a toxic job and you're just like, "It's awful," and so, yeah, but just you gotta really be careful. So as hard as it is,
The
I've
small communities.
Yes, yeah, especially in small communities, like, we all know each other, or we know someone who knows each other. Oh, yeah, be very careful with that one.
Also, sometimes employers can, like, put out that trap and, like, "Oh, I see you work there, that had to be really tough." That opens that door for me
I didn't even think
to
of that, but
kind of
yes.
fallen subject to that. I'm like, "Oh, you know. That's not great."
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, last one. In closing, do you have any questions for us? Yes, always have a question ready. Always have a question ready. I actually will go a step further. I always like to bring something to an interview, like something solid that you can hold on to. So when I interviewed at the school, I brought a binder. I used my laminator. I brought a binder. Okay, so it had my resume, a
Right.
copy of my degree, and then it had some different like kid activities, like therapeutic activities for kids that I would do. Like even just like I had the directions for Feelings Candyland. And so I came with this binder of stuff. And they even said like we see you have your binder there. What'd you bring us? And I will say, like, I just wanted to bring you some things that I would utilize in this position. And it really will set you apart. And so, yes, I would always bring something. That's my advice. Even if it's just your resume, because I've gone to a couple interviews where they've been like, I don't even have a copy of
I was
resume.
just running from this.
Yeah. So to bring an extra copy of your resume is awesome. Bring references because if you kill that interview, they're gonna want your references right there, and it is so much better if you can just hand them, like, a really nice piece of paper rather than, like, scrolling through your phone and getting names and numbers. So have that, and yes, always have a question ready. So what are some good closing questions to ask?
I know these ones can be tough, and especially if we didn't prepare for this, like, it's hard to come up with that question on the spot, so I've always rehearsed them because I know it's a question that they're going to ask, and I'm almost disappointed if they don't ask it, truthfully. What was it? I think it was something along the lines of, like, "What are things that are going to allow me to be successful in this position? Like, what support do you guys offer?"
Okay, yeah. What are you looking for in this position? What are you looking for in whoever you're going to hire in this position?
Mhm.
Th Okay, if you have made it through the entire interview, like, this is the part where I've had a lot of people totally blow it. So, what are some questions not to ask at the end of an interview?
How much paid time do I get off?
Okay.
Which, like, is a valid one, though. There's a different way to phrase that maybe. It could be, "What is a way" so I see that you guys value work-life balance and are family-oriented. What are ways that you support that?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yes. So, if you're finishing the interview and they ask if you have any questions, do not ask them what the salary is.
Yeah. Because that's
I
always in that callback piece.
And it sucks. Really, like, I can go on my soapbox about salary transparency, but for some reason, interview etiquette
Yeah.
says that you do not ask about the sal why? I don't know.
No clue.
Um,
That though.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. It's like a weird unspoken rule.
Mhm.
I hope that that changes. I really do. I hope that salary transparency becomes like a mandatory thing, honestly, because if I just sat through all of this and then the salary is so far out, like, you know, it's important to know, but yeah. What are some other I had one really strange one where we finished and then they wanted a tour of the whole facility.
Hmm,
And I was like, like that was very interesting.
yeah. Did you
Mhm.
grant that?
I didn't. Did I?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I did.
I mean, I guess, like, from, like, agencies that I've worked at, like, that's, uh, not really open to the public in a sense,
Ri
confidential information. There's people there, there's different
Ye
things like okay, yeah,
yes, 100%. So I kind of phrased it like, kind of like how you said, like, well, this is like people's homes.
yeah.
So, if you were to be hired, one of the first things we would do in the orientation process is give you a full tour of this entire facility. But there are some places that are just, limited to staff only. So we like to do tours during the orientation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also, I think, like, avoid, like, those personal questions too. Have it be something that is, pertaining to the position, to the agency, to the company. Another really good one, so switching to, like, the good could be, what are ways that you hold up your values and your mission statement? What are ways that you serve the community? Or what are ways that you think you are serving the community well, if that's a goal or a mission? I guess I'm going really based on, like, I've worked in clinics, but, like, even thinking about, like, with a restaurant, of what are ways that you are delivering the values well as this restaurant.
Mhm. I would
Hmm,
just be cognizant of, like, kinda towing the line of offensiveness. So, like I said, you wanna really research the place. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think. It might almost rub me the wrong way if someone's like, "So what are you doing to help the community?" Where it's like, "You don't know that? You said you researched this place."
okay.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe
Yeah.
that's not the best example, but it's like,
I think the way that I had asked it was, like, what are ways that you're doing it well? Or, like, the ways that they were proud of it,
mhm.
and that did get a good response, but I can see that's something you have to be really careful of, though.
What about, like, what is something that this facility or this company has done in the last year that you are most proud of?
That's great.
That would be a good
That's
one.
great.
Mhm.
Because then that's people love to talk about themselves.
They love to brag. So, yeah.
In kind of wrapping this episode up, I think we went over some really great tips of being able to do that interview. What are some ways that we can kind of challenge that anxiety of going into that interview?
Give yourself grace and just know that it's okay to be nervous. Like, from an
Yeah.
interviewer point of view, I would rather have somebody come in and be just nervous rather than come in and just be cocky and just like, "Psh, I got this in the bag." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, a little bit of nerves is totally fine. And honestly, I still get nervous interviewing people. Yeah. And, it kind of almost gives you an insight of how they're going to be as people. If somebody came in and they were like clearly nervous, I might say to them like, "You seem very nervous. Is there something I can do to make you more comfortable? Like this is
Mhm.
very comfortable environment, you know?"
Yeah. And I know right now we're in a bit of a tough hiring market. So, like, being able to show up in this in the best way that we can, it's realistic to be anxious or nervous about that. I think that is something that shows up.
Mhm.
Just knowing that's normal.
Yeah, and you know
Normalizing
what? If it were me, I would totally just address it when I sat down. Like, I remember when I went in to interview at the school and I didn't realize it was like a panel interview. There was like 6 people there. I was so nervous. And so I sat down and I was like, "Whoa." And they were like, "Don't be nervous." And I'm like, "I'm going to be totally honest. I am very nervous because I am just so excited about this job, and I'm a little nervous about the interview only because this is just such a great opportunity. Get it out there. Just tell them you're nervous.
it.
If you say you're nervous, it'll make you less nervous.
It can
Because
also
then you're not trying to hide that you're nervous. Like,
right.
no, I'm actually nervous. I was gonna say AF. Don't say that in the interview. But if you actually say like, no, I am very nervous because I just think this is such a great company and I'm just so honored to even be
Yeah.
interviewing that I'm very nervous. Again, stroke their ego.
Yeah.
For
Right.
sure. For sure.
And then, in that same piece, making sure that, not that we can get a full read, but be able to see, like, how they're treating you, making sure that this is a place you can see yourself,
Yeah,
or
because if you're nervous and they're being, like, a-holes, you don't
Mhm.
wanna work there. Seriously, if they're not gonna be nice in the interview, they're not gonna be nice to their employees.
Right. Like, I can't stress this enough. As much as they're interviewing you, you're also interviewing them
Yep,
because this is a decision you're making. It's for many of us, many times, it's a big jump.
yep,
So being able to be as confident as we can, we're never going to be 100%. But
yes. Listening to our intuition,
yeah.
the vibes.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Alright, so if anyone has any other interview tips, techniques, or if anyone has any suggestions for any follow-up topics, let us know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining, guys.
Bye.